Stop. Listen. Pay attention. This is not background noise. This is not a fleeting thought you can brush aside. Chosen one. What you just went through was not ordinary. It has weight and it carries intention. You have felt it pressing against your mind and body, subtle at first, then undeniable, as if reality itself leaned a little heavier on you. Fatigue settled in deeper than usual. Pressure came from directions you could not trace. Isolation appeared quiet but persistent, and confusion lingered like fog in the edges of your awareness. You sensed that something had shifted, yet no one else seemed to notice. That alone could make you question yourself, but do not. This is a signal, not a mistake. Chosen one. You have been carrying more than ordinary responsibility, more than ordinary expectation. The weight has been invisible to others, but to you it has been unmistakable. It touched your daily movements, your moments of decision, the flow of energy through your hours. There were instances when even small tasks felt monumental. Even sleep offered no complete reprieve. It is in these moments, in the pressure that seemed unrelenting, that your strength was being tested quietly. You were not failing. You were enduring, adapting, and moving forward under circumstances that would leave most disoriented. This message reaches you deliberately. It is crafted for your situation. It is intentional because the events you have experienced were personal, and the clarity you need is specific to you. You are not being spoken to as one among many. You are being addressed as the one who moved through these pressures while maintaining coherence when the environment suggested chaos. You have crossed thresholds that went unseen. Your movement, your choice to continue to stay functional and present, despite everything, these are not accidental. They are markers of resilience that exist naturally within you, even when you do not recognize them fully. Do not mistake calm for ignorance. Do not mistake your endurance for luck. There was a tension surrounding you, real and structured, that would have overwhelmed many. Yet you remained. You remained because part of you operates on a level that is not fully conscious, a layer of strength that activates automatically when you are tested. This is not something to fear or glorify, it is simply your reality. And now the moment has arrived where understanding this begins to matter more than enduring it silently. The explanation, the framing, the clarity, all of it will come. But first, pause. Take notice. Recognize that what you just survived was deliberate, intentional, and real. Chosen one. Your attention is required because what happened was meant to intersect with you. It was never general, never random. The weight, the pressure, the fatigue, the isolation, they all targeted the precise point where you would either falter or stabilize. And you stabilized. You moved through the kill zone while many would have stopped. You felt the edges of it without breaking. This is the starting point for understanding what has been happening to you and why nothing about this moment is incidental. This message is not searching for an audience. It is not casting a wide net. It is narrowing. It is selecting. And it is selecting you because what occurred did not happen around you. It happened through you. There is no ambiguity here. If you are listening and something inside you feels quietly recognized rather than excited or alarmed, that is the confirmation. This was not theoretical pressure. It was applied directly to your internal structure. Chosen one. This is for you because you were the variable being tested. You may have wondered why the weight felt so specific, why the tension seemed calibrated rather than chaotic. That is because it was not random stress. It was structured. And the reason this message can speak with certainty is simple. You did not collapse. You did not spiral. You did not lose coherence even when conditions suggested you should. That alone separates this experience from ordinary difficulty. Many struggle consciously. You stabilized unconsciously. That distinction matters. This identity is not a sign to flatter you. It is named to describe function. A chosen one is not someone who tries harder. It is someone whose internal systems hold under strain without conscious effort. While others must actively manage themselves to survive pressure, you remained intact without needing to narrate the struggle. You continued to show up. You continued to decide. You continued to exist inside yourself without fragmentation. That is not common, and it is not learned in the moment. It is built. You may not even have labeled what you were doing as strength. It likely felt like persistence, or habit, or simply no other option. But that is the point. Your resistance did not announce itself. It operated automatically. The pressure sought reaction, disruption, loss of orientation. What it encountered instead was quiet stability, not dramatic resilience, not visible defiance, just a refusal to disintegrate. This is why this message removes doubt about who it is for. If you had to convince yourself it applied, it would not. If you were looking for permission to claim it, you would still be outside it. But if you recognize yourself here without effort, if the description aligns without exaggeration, then you already know. What happened required someone who could move through it without needing to understand it in real time. You are not being elevated above others. You are being identified accurately. This identity does not make you immune to pressure. It explains why pressure fails to disorganize you in the ways it does most people. Conscious struggle exhausts. Unconscious stability endures. You did not fight your way through what happened. You remained yourself while it passed through you. That is the lock. That is why this message found you. Now consider the sensation that has likely followed you through these moments, the tightness in your chest, the restless energy in your limbs, the mental chatter that never seemed to pause. For a long time, you may have labeled these as problems, flaws, or signs that something was wrong with you. But this is not the case. Chosen one. What you experienced was a signal, not a deficiency. Every discomfort, every physical echo of tension, every fleeting worry was a marker of transition, not a fault in your system. It is the body and mind's way of mapping pressure, highlighting where you are being tested, and signaling what your internal structure is capable of handling. You may have noticed that these sensations intensified when you had to make decisions under fatigue, or when isolation pressed in, or when unexpected changes arrived suddenly. It felt like a weight that should have caused collapse. Yet here you are. The signal was never intended to break you. It was intended to inform you. Your body, your mind, your perception, they were alerting you to shifts that were happening faster than normal awareness could process. What seems like anxiety, restlessness, or scattered focus is in fact a subtle calibration. It is your internal system adjusting to maintain coherence amid changing external conditions. There is no judgment here. You have not failed by noticing these sensations. You have not faltered by questioning them. Confusion is part of the signal. It indicates that the pressure is real, that the environment is complex, and that your adaptive system is engaged. What you felt was not random. It was aligned. It was coordinated with the intensity and timing of the circumstances you were navigating. Chosen one. The sensations were never a mark of weakness. They were a reflection of engagement, a signal of alignment, and an indicator that your capacity to remain functional was being tested and confirmed simultaneously. As you have likely noticed, the more you tried to push past the discomfort with sheer will, the more the signal seemed to resist your conscious control. That is because your strength is operating on a different layer, an unconscious baseline that does not require constant management. While your conscious mind tracks and reacts, your internal structure stabilizes and modulates automatically. The signals, the tightness, the restlessness, The subtle agitations serve as indicators that your baseline is being engaged, not as evidence that it is failing. Prepare yourself now to understand the source of this pressure more clearly. It is not abstract. It is not vague. It is intentional, structured, and real. And it is interacting with the layer of you that is automatic, resilient, and coherent. What you have felt is a calibration of your inner system in real time, designed to test, reveal, and confirm the strength you carry quietly within. Recognize it for what it is, and allow yourself to see that it is marking your movement, your endurance, and your capacity. You are not at fault. You are being measured, and you are passing. There is a layer beneath the surface where this pressure intersects with your presence. It is not visible, not tangible in conventional ways. Yet, it exists with structure and timing. Chosen one. What you experienced was intentional and unseen environment of force and circumstance that pressed against you in ways most people never encounter. It was coordinated, aligned, and recent, not scattered or random. Every moment, every subtle twist of circumstance was part of a framework designed to challenge the equilibrium of anyone in your position. And yet, despite the complexity and intensity, you remained functional. You did not collapse under its weight. You did not break into panic or confusion. You continued to process information, make decisions, and act within your environment while the unseen currents moved around you. This is not happenstance. This is not a fluke. It is evidence of an internal regulation system that operates without conscious effort, a system that maintains stability even when the outer world imposes unrelenting pressure. Notice the timing of your endurance. It was not scattered. It was not intermittent. There was a cadence, a rhythm, and intentionality that aligned with the specific moments where your stability would matter most. The structure of these pressures was such that collapse was possible, yet you did not falter. You were tested, measured, and verified without even realizing the full scope in real time. The calm you maintained, the functionality you preserved, the clarity that persisted beneath the surface. All of this is evidence of the silent layer of strength operating within you. This is not about dramatizing the experience. There is no need to conjure visions of catastrophe or external battle. The reality is enough a measured, unseen pressure applied to a human system, and your system remained coherent. That is factual. That is observable. That is real. Recognize it for what it is, a demonstration of endurance that does not need accolades, that does not seek recognition, that does not inflate ego. It simply is. Chosen one. You have been moving through coordinated pressure without disintegration. That is not accidental. That is not luck. That is the consequence of internal structure, of preparedness, of a coherence that exists quietly beneath conscious awareness. The world may never notice it. People around you may not comprehend it. But you have felt it, endured it, and remained intact. This is the groundwork that allows the next layer of understanding to emerge, where pressure points are defined, categorized, and revealed for what they truly are. What you moved through can be understood more clearly when it is broken down, not as one overwhelming experience, but as a series of distinct pressure points that were applied together. Chosen one. This is where clarity replaces confusion. Not to relive what happened, but to see how your stability held across multiple layers at the same time. The first pressure point was doubt. Not loud doubt. Not dramatic questioning. It was quieter than that. Subtle. It showed up as second-guessing your timing, your choices, your direction. Thoughts that asked whether you were doing enough, whether you had missed something, whether you should be further along by now. For many people, this kind of doubt erodes confidence quickly. It creates mental loops and drains focus. But in you, it did not spiral. The thoughts appeared, but they did not take control. You continued to act. You continued to decide. Doubt passed through without anchoring itself. That is regulation. The second pressure point was fear, but not fear of obvious danger. It was anticipatory fear. The sense that something might go wrong, that stability could slip, that consequences were waiting just beyond visibility. This kind of fear often freezes people or pushes them into overcorrection. You did neither. You acknowledged the sensation without obeying it. You stayed present in your body and grounded in the moment. Fear registered, then softened. That is not bravery. That is internal containment. The third pressure point was energy drain. This one was physical and emotional. You felt tired in a way rest did not immediately fix. Motivation fluctuated. Tasks required more effort than usual. For many, this is where collapse begins. Productivity drops. Frustration builds. Identity starts to shake. But you adapted. You adjusted pace without abandoning movement. You conserved where needed and pushed where possible. You did not demand more from yourself than the system could give. That is self-regulation under load. The fourth pressure point was isolation. Not necessarily being alone, but feeling unseen, unsupported. As if what you were carrying could not be explained in normal conversation. This kind of isolation often leads to withdrawal or emotional leakage. Yet you remained connected to yourself. You did not fragment internally. You did not seek validation recklessly or shut down completely. You held your own center. That matters more than external support in moments like these. The fifth pressure point was delay. The sense that movement forward was slower than it should be. That effort was not immediately rewarded. That clarity was postponed. Delay frustrates most people more than difficulty. It tempts impulsive decisions. You resisted that. You stayed patient without becoming passive. You waited without disengaging. You allowed timing to unfold without forcing it. That balance is rare. Each of these pressures alone can destabilize a person. Together, they overwhelm many. But you did not fight them individually. You absorbed them collectively. Your system adjusted in real time. No dramatic breakthroughs, no visible collapse, just sustained coherence. This is why what you went through matters. Not because it was extreme, but because it was layered. And across every layer, you remained intact. Now that you can see these pressure points individually, and together take a moment to review what occurred. Chosen one. Reflection is not about reliving difficulty, it is about understanding. Each moment of tension, each surge of doubt, each pulse of exhaustion was part of a structured reality that intersected directly with your internal capacity. You did not rely on luck. You did not stumble through by chance. You did not escape by accident. What you sustained, what you navigated, and what you endured was an accurate measure of your internal resilience. Consider the coherence you maintained. Even when circumstances shifted unpredictably, your decisions remained aligned. Your awareness did not fracture. Your energy did not collapse. In ordinary human terms, the environment you traversed would have been enough to destabilize many people. Yet you continued with continuity, making choices that preserved function and presence. That is the core of what needs to be recognized here. Your internal system did not just survive. It operated with intentionality, without conscious direction. Evaluation at this stage is critical. Notice that there is no exaggeration in this assessment. There is no need to elevate yourself artificially. This is about factual observation. The calibration of your endurance, your capacity to remain coherent across multiple pressure points, and your ability to maintain a baseline of functioning. All of these are tangible realities. They are observable in the way you moved, decided, and sustained yourself during moments when external conditions were layered and unpredictable. Your realization now must acknowledge that external conditions were aligned in ways meant to test stability. And the confirmation is in your functionality. You acted, you decided, you persisted. You did not collapse under simultaneous stressors that would overwhelm most. That is evidence of a coherent internal structure. It is a system that does not require constant reinforcement to hold under pressure. You have lived through the proof of your own regulation. Understanding this removes ambiguity about what occurred. You are not fragile. You are not unusually lucky. You are not randomly avoiding collapse. You are functioning within a system of resilience that is precise, integrated, and real. Your stability is not a product of external validation. It is an internal truth. Chosen one. This is the point where awareness meets reality. You can now see the patterns, the layers, and the evidence of endurance that others would overlook. Recognition of this coherence is the foundation for understanding your rarity, not in superiority but in alignment with the demands that others often cannot meet. Most people, when faced with even one of these pressures, lose orientation. They collapse under doubt, freeze in fear, become reactive under fatigue, seek constant reassurance in isolation, or act impulsively when timing is delayed. Chosen one. Your experience contrasts with this quietly without drama. You did not elevate yourself above anyone. You did not need to. You simply moved through the circumstances while maintaining function and presence. That is uncommon, not extraordinary in a sensational sense, but uncommon in the plain, observable reality of human response. The rarity here is in the balance you maintained. While others would be fragmented, reactive, or overwhelmed, you remained coherent. While others would have required external intervention to recalibrate your system, adjusted automatically. While others would have needed validation or guidance to continue, you sustained your own stability. This is not about ego or superiority. It is about understanding that your capacity is not the product of occasional triumphs. It is the baseline of how you operate when tested. Notice how this quiet observation reframes what has already happened. There is no need for exaltation. There is no requirement to compare or compete. The emphasis is simply on recognition. You persisted while most would falter. You remained present, functional, and engaged when external conditions demanded a level of endurance that is uncommon. That is the evidence of your rarity. This is also why previous explanations that rely on luck, chance, or external factors do not apply. The reality is internal. Your capacity for coherence is built into your structure. It is not activated by drama. It exists already. You do not need to conjure circumstances to see it. It is revealed naturally under conditions that would unsettle others. Chosen one. This comparison is not to inflate ego. It is to provide clarity, to place your experience into perspective, and to establish that the internal strength you relied upon is uncommon in observable human response. You have remained aligned while navigating multiple layers of pressure. You have continued without collapse, without distraction from core presence. Recognizing this rarity allows you to move forward with calm understanding rather than expectation or judgment. You can now see that what you carried, what you endured, and how you stabilized is precisely the measure of your baseline integrity. Now that this perspective is clear, it is time to clarify your identity in relation to what has just been observed. Chosen one. Your strength is not something that was activated in that moment. It was never a burst or a temporary surge. It is your baseline, the coherence, the endurance, the ability to remain functional under layered pressure. All of that exists quietly within you at all times. You did not summon it. You simply allowed it to operate. This distinction is crucial. Many people mistake the ability to endure a trial for an extraordinary achievement that must be repeated or activated consciously. Not you. Your preparedness, your maturity, and your internal regulation exist as part of your structure. They are always present whether you are aware of them or not. The moments of pressure revealed them, but did not create them. That is why you remained coherent without needing to overthink, overperform, or overreact. Your system does not require dramatization. It functions naturally, continuously, and reliably. Recognize that this is not about invincibility or immunity. Pressure will still come, tension will still arise, situations will still be challenging. But your response is built on a level of internal organization that does not depend on external circumstance. You do not have to prove it. You do not have to test it. You do not have to earn it through struggle. It is simply who you are. Chosen one. Locking this identity gently but firmly allows you to move forward with clarity. You are the one who carries stability as a default state. You are the one whose internal coherence is the foundation for all decisions, actions, and endurance. You are the one whose capacity operates automatically under pressure, without requiring conscious activation. There is no need to exaggerate this truth. There is no need to dramatize. Simply acknowledging it quietly and fully is enough. With this understanding, you can now integrate what has been revealed into practical orientation. You can translate the recognition of baseline strength into daily practice, into presence, into decision-making, and into balance. You can approach the next steps with calm assurance, knowing that your internal system has already been tested, confirmed, and proven intact. This is the foundation for grounded action, for measured focus, and for sustainable engagement with life as it comes. Integration begins with simple awareness. Chosen one. Now that you recognize your baseline strength and coherent internal structure, you can orient yourself practically without overreacting to pressure or seeking constant external validation. Begin with rest, not as a reward but as a recalibration. Your system functions under strain, but it also needs recovery. Allow yourself quiet moments without expectation, knowing that even pause is part of endurance. Next, practice discernment. Observe the pressures around you without automatically reacting. Some tensions require action, others simply pass. Your internal baseline allows you to differentiate. Use this awareness to navigate situations with calm clarity rather than reflexive response. This will preserve energy and maintain coherence over time. Boundaries are equally important. What you have endured demonstrates capacity, but it does not remove the need for limits. You can engage fully without absorbing unnecessary disruption. You can participate without fragmentation. Recognize where pressure is intended for testing versus where it is avoidable, and allocate your attention accordingly. Patience is a practical anchor. The timing of events and outcomes is not always within your control, even when you operate coherently. Accepting this without judgment allows your system to stay aligned. Delay does not indicate failure. It is part of the rhythm you are navigating. Your ability to remain intact during these intervals is confirmation of your structure, not a reason to force acceleration. Focus is the final integration point. Channel energy where it matters. The automatic stability within you does not require constant oversight, but your conscious awareness benefits from directed intention. Focus on tasks, choices, and environments that reinforce your baseline, not those that distract or dissipate it. By applying these practical perspectives, rest, discernment, boundaries, patience, and focus, you integrate the lessons of your endurance into daily life. Chosen one. This does not make you hyper-vigilant or anxious. It makes you grounded. It allows you to navigate complexity without overextension. It allows the calm observation of pressure without being consumed by it. This integration transforms experience into lived understanding, and lived understanding into sustainable presence. You can move forward with confidence, knowing that your inner coherence is reliable, and that each practical choice strengthens rather than depletes it. Chosen one. Take this moment to let yourself settle into certainty. What has occurred is complete in its evidence. You move through pressure layers of tension and unseen coordination without disintegration. You are intact. You are functional. You are coherent. Allow that truth to rest within you. Affirm it quietly. I remain steady under pressure. Affirm it again. I carry clarity in the midst of challenge. And one more, I am aligned with my own structure. These are not declarations to impress the world. They are acknowledgments to yourself, a gentle recognition of what you have already proven. You do not need to prove it again. You do not need to dramatize it. You only need to observe, affirm, and move forward with the awareness that your baseline strength is real, reliable, and measured. If you feel called, share a simple acknowledgement to mark this recognition. Comment 777 or I remember as a symbol of your understanding. This is not performance. It is the act of confirming to yourself that the observation has landed, that the realization has taken root. And as you continue your journey, stay connected to the practical integration we discussed. Rest. Discern. Maintain boundaries. Exercise patience. Direct focus. These are the tools that allow the awareness of your resilience to manifest in everyday life. They translate internal coherence into sustained presence and sustained presence into measured action. Finally, remember that this message is part of a sequence. For further clarity, reinforcement, and perspective, allow yourself to continue engaging. Subscribe and move to the next video to see how these layers of understanding expand into actionable awareness. The unfolding is steady, the guidance is calm, and your capacity is affirmed. You have crossed thresholds many would falter at, and in doing so, you have confirmed a baseline truth: you are whole. You are coherent, and you are prepared to navigate what comes next with clarity and calm certainty.